Good morning, fellow gardeners! Today it arrived and I'm pretty excited about that. Made in USA, the Denali 23 quart, I think, pressure canner. And it's going to be a total game changer when it comes to canning my vegetables from the garden. Welcome back to a new episode on the self-sufficient series, and we are gonna cook today once again. We are gonna can a bunch of vegetables and see how it works out with this amazing piece of machinery, which is the gold standard in the USA, the pressure canner, such that you don't get ill from the botulinum bacteria. More about that later, but now let's unbox this one and let's see what it can do for us. There it is. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my god. It comes with a bunch of extra things. I think those are canning lids for the regular mason jars that you can find in America, and I hopefully can also find some here in Germany too. But more importantly, the pressure canner. The lid, the canning weight, which is very important for the pressing process, and it's also a safety mechanism, which is pretty unique to this machine. And the very, very lightweight induction pressure canner button. And that's about it. Now just need to assemble it, I suppose. Here's the pressure gauge. I'll explain more about the pressure later. What is up with all of that? Oh, it comes with two different weights, which is very important, depending on the pressure that you want to reach inside of the pot, and hence a bigger temperature in the process. And I believe you just put it on here, and that's as far as the assembly goes, I think. I think we're good. Nice. That was extremely self-explanatory, no instructions needed, to be honest. Now let's get to cooking, shall we?
Hey fellas, welcome back after the huge time skip. It has been a few months, and in the upcoming episode I'm gonna tell you more about what exactly happened in my garden and what I planted where and how the greenhouse is going and all the things that I'm still planning to do. And before we dive further into the canning process, I actually talked with the wonderful people from Denali if they would be interested in sharing my message of preserving food and a self-sufficient lifestyle together with myself here on my channel. And they said yes, and I'm very glad to announce that this video has been proudly sponsored by the wonderful people over on Denali. As mentioned at the start of the video and during the unboxing, it's a pretty solid machine, this tanker. It makes it easy for beginners to dive into preserving food with the self-venting process, which is rather unique to the scanner. And I haven't seen something like this before, and it makes it very easy, especially to someone like me who hasn't used a regular pressure canner in ages, to can their own food and thus preserving it for future meals to cook with. And if you are also interested in getting yourself the tanker or maybe any other of the systems that they offer over on their website, then definitely make sure to use my link down there at the top of the description for a big discount to save a bit of money, such that you can get yourself one of those great machines and cooking utensils too. And now back to the cooking. Just put all the little cubes inside of your cans, and what I also did, I created a little brine of just lukewarm water, salt, and also a bit of brown sugar for just taste. This wasn't necessary, but I just wanted to keep the salt content a bit up. It helps with preserving, and it helps to prevent bacteria and mold from growing inside of my cans. So yeah, this is what I did, and I think it's gonna taste quite well after I open them up for further cooking and preparing later in meals. And after closing all of the lids on my VEC glasses, I just put all of those into the Denali tanker and just let it do its work. I was reading into the instruction manual, and it was pretty self-explanatory once again. All you need to do is put it in there, seal the top, and then put the weight on there. This seals everything off, and then you start heating it up, and then you wait for the pressure to rise at some point after the self-venting process is over.
I really hope this works out. It should be pretty self-explanatory and easy to do. I hope it doesn't explode. Let's go. I believe in you, Denali. Pressure cannon. It's finally up, and now the pressure should start rising. Yep, up until we reach this line right here, 11, which is gonna correspond to about 120 degrees Celsius. Just barely over 10 pounds of pressure, and once it reaches the 11 pounds threshold, I'm going to reduce the heat such that we keep it that way, the 120 degrees Celsius approximately. And then everything should be bacteria free, and once we reach that, the timer starts for approximately, I would say, 20 minutes, and then we let it cool down, and then we are already done. Nice.
And after about 25 minutes, at about 11 pounds of pressure, which amounts to about 120 degrees Celsius, I took the heat off, and then it took 1.5 hours for it to cool down. And once that was done, I very carefully opened up the lid because I didn't trust this thing too much. I didn't want anything to explode in my face, but everything turned out nicely after all.
Yeah, it's looking good. Alright, moment of truth. If everything worked out, and in theory it should have worked out. And if I take a look at the rubber band here, it's squished together, meaning there should be a vacuum here. To check if we truly have a vacuum, and I can see still some bubbles coming up here, bursting. But in theory, if everything worked out, we should be able to take those off and then grab it by the lid without it falling down. Then we should have a vacuum. And it looks great, I think. That seems to have worked out. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, perfect. I liked it. That worked out nicely. Okay, let's test the other ones. And that means we have canned and preserved zucchinis, which is great. Oh, perfect. And the last one. I can already see that it worked out because the rubber band is squished together greatly. Yeah, that is awesome. Okay. This can go into the basement. And I can use it whenever I make zucchini soup, pasta sauce with tomatoes and the like. There are so many applications for just zucchini being kept in brine. Awesome.
Now, Another project, next to zucchinis, I got tons upon tons of tomatoes. And up until this point, believe it or not, and the harvest isn't fully over yet, I harvested over 4,000 tomatoes. It's ridiculous. So the first thing I do is remove the green part, which can have a bit of solanine, which is also a neurotoxin in there. So I get this out. And also I'm leaving all the seeds in there. The last thing I do is just scorch the skin, and then we throw everything into boiling water for about a minute. Next thing to do is we want to get the skin of the tomatoes, so we blanch the whole thing, meaning from the hot water immediately into preferably ice cold water, or just cold water in general. Works out nicely with just regular cold tap water. Now, next to my big tomatoes, I also have a lot of very sweet cherry tomatoes, which are gonna make for great ingredients for just sauces and the like. And what I do here, instead of cooking them and scorching the skin and so on, it would be a huge hassle to peel all those small tomatoes. What I do is I do preserve them fully in their entirety with skin on. But for all of the ingredients and the salt and the herbs that I put into the glasses to really penetrate inside of the tomatoes, I just use a skewer and just put a bunch of holes inside of the cherry tomatoes. 4 to 5 holes per cherry tomato. Takes a bit of time, but it's pretty much worth it once you're done preserving the food. And inside of the cherry tomatoes, I just drop a bunch of herbs from my garden in there. Basil, thyme, especially garlic. Garlic goes in all of those, sage and so on. And the last thing I do once all of that is done, I use a bit of hot boiling water, which I'm gonna just put over all of the tomatoes. Yeah, that's about it. And also 1 teaspoon of salt in there for the taste. And this basically concludes what I do with the tomatoes. It's fairly straightforward. Last thing to do is to put all of those into the Denali pressure canner once again, making sure everything is sanitized and that I clean all of the glasses at the top where I put the lid over those. And yeah, then we wait. I usually cook my tomatoes for about 35 minutes if you use a pressure canner. You don't need to use citric acid or anything of that sort.
Woo! If you could smell what I'm smelling, oh my goodness, it smells really good. That is so hot. Like, literally, it's extremely hot. Oh my god, that is awesome. And once again, the Denali canner just did an outright amazing job without much effort.
And that is about it. Those are looking absolutely beautiful. Everything worked out nicely. The canner just works like a charm, seriously. You can see the vacuum on the lids. If you take a look at the lids, they are all pressed down inside of the cans, and it just looks beautiful in this light. And those tomatoes, they are looking so damn delicious. I'm watching the footage right now and it just looks so good. I want to open some of those up and turn them into tomato sauce or anything of that sort. Yeah, I made a bunch of different varieties of cherry tomatoes with herbs and the like, and I can't wait to process them further. Once again, thanks to Denali for sponsoring this video, and make sure to definitely check out their website and to get yourself one of those amazing canners too. And until the next video, I wish you guys a flammy day. See ya!